Should the Cubs jump the trade market? That and more next.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making Locked On Cubs your first listen today. The best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, like the video, and comment anything below. Today's episode is presented by our great partner at Supply House. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to get parts fast. Shop your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job and get your fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com. Outside of a few trades a couple weeks ago, the trade market around baseball is frozen, eerily similar to what happened last December at the winter meetings, which is mostly a nothing fest for an entire week. The trade deadline is this Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central, and there are a handful of clear buyers, handful of clear sellers, and a lot of teams in the middle. So, should the Cubs, as President Jed Hoyer signaled to the 2025 season earlier this week, jump the trade market and make a deal sooner rather than later? We're going to explore that this episode, Sam, as well as preview Cubs, Royals, and more.
Before we dive into the trades and the hot stove and the hot microwave and the oven and turning it back to basically
air fryer as well,
basically turning it back to November and December, I just want to say this to our phenomenal audience. There's going to be a lot of comedy. There's going to be a lot of jokes going on in this show for probably the next 4, 5, 6 months. And I just want everybody to know, if you've ever watched the show Friends, you know the character Chandler. He uses humor as a defense mechanism. That's what I'm going to be doing. I don't want people to think I am internally devastated by what's going on in the 2024 campaign, and I am trying to solve that with having fun and humor. But I just want you guys to know, please don't think for one second that this isn't driving me absolutely very sad, is the term. Because, you know, as I texted Matt this afternoon, I woke up this morning, this Thursday morning, beautiful summer day. This should be, you know, this basically should be the start of pennant chase baseball. And it hit me that we will not be playing an important baseball game until March 18th of 2025. So that's depressing. It's sad, and it's real. And I'm just going to try and make the best out of it. And to answer your question, you know, should the Cubs jump the trade market? I get paid a lot of money for takes like this, and the answer is I don't know. I'm not sure. I have no idea. You know, I think I was. Can you please let me talk? Please be professional. I was leaning towards. I thought it'd be a nice idea to set the market with Tyone. But then I heard the news today about Crochet demanding an extension if he's going to get traded to a team and pitch in October, which really increased the value of Tyone, which might make him the most valuable controllable arm on the market, which means the Cubs should wait as long as they possibly can for the prices to go up, right? And two of those teams that are interested in the right-hander are the Orioles and the Yankees. And those two teams are battling for a division race. So what you by the way, I just want to say,
I love this, the bidding war.
It makes me so physically sick that we're talking about this, but we have to do our jobs. I said that right at the same time. Make the Orioles bid against the Yankees and see if you can get the most guys. Unlike the offseason, this is pretty typical for it to be a stalemate. It might be a stalemate going into the last day, but teams are going to have to get better, and trades will start flying off the market. And unfortunately, as I've said many times now this week, Jed Hoyer has an inordinate amount of practice. selling, and he knows the routine, and he's pretty good at it. I expect the Cubs to get about 125 to 150 cents on the dollar for most of these deals. Am I going to come in and celebrate that? No, because it's an organizational failure at the highest order that we're selling. This is a $225 million payroll team that can't even make it to August, contending for 3 playoff spots. It's ridiculous. When's the last time the Cubs were over 500? It has to be a month and a half?
Late May.
Oh.
2 months.
So you can go.
I'm going to say don't wait until Tuesday. Don't even wait until Monday. But not because of Taillon, Sam, but because the most likely candidates in my mind to actually be traded are relievers. I have this next tier that I'm going to go over as well. But I would almost guarantee, I am going to guarantee the Cubs make at least one trade. And it seems like it's trending towards 2 or more trades between now and the deadline. And that reliever group is the most discussed group right now, in addition to Taillon. Then there's a few position players that, just to be thorough, I want to go over as well. But you have Neris, Smiley, Leiter, Lopez, Miller, and Merriweather, all candidates to be dealt. Merriweather, the lowest percentage, because he almost missed 4 months because of an injury. But I think those other dudes, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys are firm candidates. And the guys who can go the quickest are Neris, Smiley, and Lopez, who are all rentals, depending on what the teams that acquired them want to do. Lopez is a straight-up rental. Smiley has a mutual option, so the team that acquires him will push for free agency. And as long as Neris pitches in 59 games, he's a rental because the player option kicks in at game 60. With all that being said, all 3 of those guys will bring a very low return, which is why I think a combination deal with a Taillon, with a Hoerner, with a Bellinger, dare I say, with a Morel or Tauchman, could be attractive to the Cubs this time around. But you can't tell me a contending team can't use, a Smiley who has a 1.19 ERA since June. Before Wednesday's debacle, Neris went 8 straight games, not allowing a run, only allowed a couple of hits. And Lopez, who the Cubs took a flyer on,
he's been good, right?
Could another team take a flyer on him? He's got a 0.93 ERA since June. Of course, we know Leiter and Miller are under control for longer, so they would bring back more value. But right now, I'm focused on the relievers. I think Taillon and Hoerner are the most interesting chips outside of that group. And I think if Jed wants to be, the Cubs could be the most active team in the sport.
Here's a pitch to Ohtani. That ball's driven in the air to deep right. It's going to get out of the park. That's number 31 for Shohei. Remember all talks about, hey, you guys are talking too much about Ohtani. It's only one player. If they had him, we'd be talking about why the Cubs are the biggest buyers at the deadline. I agree with everything you said. Let's put it like this, Matt. I'm going to give you some names that I'm going to tell you I expect them to be traded. They could be traded. I'd be shocked if they'd be traded. Let's start with the relievers. Hector Neris, he's going to be traded. Mark Leiter Jr. is probably going to be traded. Drew Smiley, he's probably going to be traded. Merriweather, that one's, he could be traded. Okay? Did I leave any relievers out?
Miller.
Yeah, Miller. Maybe. You're not going to get a lot back for these guys. Taillon, I'd expect him to be traded. Nico Hoerner could be traded.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Cody Bellinger could be traded. If he comes back soon enough, that'd be great news. Morel.
There's 2 more names.
I'd be shocked if it was Morel.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of Steele talk, and I just don't see that.
Yeah, the other one would be Tauchman in my mind.
Oh, no, Tauchman I could see getting dealt for sure.
But Steele's not going anywhere.
Steele would be really disappointing, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
I mean, they'd have to get some sort of
a king's ransom.
A king's ransom. I mean, isn't Steele the whole guy you're like? If you trade Steele, aren't you just going to be searching for Steele all off season?
Well, if you trade Steele, then you're going into another rebuild.
Yeah,
No, they are though. They're not going to trade him.
I know. I just seen his name pop up a lot, and Carter Hawkins this morning did not debunk it at all.
Yeah, which is odd.
He just said, "Hey, we got to look at everything. I get it. You want to keep leverage alive, but don't you think Steele's the type of guy that might earn enough respect where you'd say we have no interest in trading a guy like Justin Steele?"
So I like the bidding war premise between the Yankees and Orioles for Tyone.
That wasn't rhetorical. Can you answer me, please?
Oh, well.
Don't you think that Carter Hawkins, don't you think it's weird that he didn't debunk that on the radio and he just said, hey, he kept it open? Like, Steele's one of those guys you say, hey, we're looking for more Justin Steels.
I would say it's borderline inappropriate what Hawkins said.
Okay.
That
was my question.
He needs to up. Never mind.
I messed up yesterday.
I almost took a personal shot at him. I didn't want to do that.
I messed up yesterday talking about candies. The purple bag of Skittles is the berry flavored. That's what I was talking about, not the tropical. That's on me.
Yankees, Orioles bidding war for Tyone. Love it. Do they have catching prospects? I know the Orioles have one, although he's played more first base recently. But I really think Hoerner, Sam, is the most interesting trade chip in these next few days.
I 100% agree.
By a lot.
Right, so let's talk about that.
The Yankees and Dodgers could both use infield help.
Right.
The Red Sox could use it. The Mariners could use it. That's 4 teams. That's not a small number.
Right, and so let's talk about it from the Cubs' perspective. So why does Nico become expendable, right? So number one, he hasn't performed. He hasn't been good enough, straight up. He's a guy that needs to hit for average. He's batting like 260. The power, we were told the power was going to come. The power is regressing. There is no power. Right. Okay. Christopher Morel's best position, second base. Michael Busch's best defensive position, second base.
Yeah.
So by trading Nico Hoerner, what you could do is you could open a spot. Now, I don't think Christopher Morel deserves anybody getting traded for him, but it would open up a spot for him or Busch. So in the offseason, maybe you are active in the third base market now. Maybe you are a little bit more active in the Pete Alonso sweepstakes because you have guys that can cover there because you can move him to second base. It opens up flexibility. Now, I like Nico Hoerner. I thought the Cubs were built around this great middle infield, right? Dansby and Nico, great defense.
Excuse me.
And those guys, sorry. And those guys, excuse me a moment. And those guys have proven that come on, man. Those guys have, what was I saying? Those guys
Porter
have been
and Swanson up the middle.
Those guys have been really good defensively since May.
But
they
faltered a lot though too.
They've really struggled offensively, and I wouldn't be upset if they decided to change their tune there.
So if Hoerner gets traded, isn't it almost a guarantee that Busch goes to second or Morel? Because then Bellinger could play first the rest of the year.
Who cares about the rest of this year?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yes.
Well,
I'm talking about 25.
There's going to be things we want to look at for the rest of this year, but I get what you're saying.
Like what?
Well, Wicks and Brown returning.
Great. Just stay healthy.
Can Hodge be a piece in the bullpen?
Yeah, but it's not high leverage anymore.
So here's what I'm going to say about the rest of the year. No, but seriously.
Okay, seriously.
If the Cubs trade Smiley and Leiter, Council can't say, "Oh, we're trying to win games," because they have 0 lefties.
Right.
Little's out for the year. Smiley gone. Leiter. You can't just have 0 lefties.
Maybe they'll call up Mike Remlinger.
Oh, that's a good drop.
Yeah. Thank you.
Also, Yankees in on Mike Tauchman.
Hey, can I propose a trade for you before we go to break?
Yep.
I'd like to trade Pete Crow Armstrong, Cade Horton, Matt Shaw, Christopher Morel, Nico Hoerner, Miguel Amaya, and whoever else on there for Bobby Witt Jr. And we're going to talk about the Royals coming up next.
Cubs Royals preview next.
This episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rival cities. With hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com, you might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival city. You know, after this weekend, the Cubs travel to Cincinnati. Now, there's not a lot to do there, but if you're interested in some sort of chili, you could travel over there and catch a game at the American Ballpark. From hotels that look over stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even in your rivals. Book today on Booking.com on the site or in the Booking.com app.
This episode's also brought to you by FanDuel. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as
Olympics,
the playoffs
baby.
wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. The Royals are a minus 152 favorite on Friday, and the over-under on runs is 9. Okay. Also, just earlier this week, the Bears over-under win total was increased to 8.5 wins. It was previously at 7.5. Head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Cubs play the Royals at 7:10 p.m. Central Friday. You can hear every pitch of the Cubs hometown broadcast on SiriusXM by searching Cubs on the SXM app. Cubs begin a 6-game road trip on Friday in Kansas City, 3 with the Royals, and then 3 at the Reds in Cincinnati, which is known for its skyline chili. Not sure why that made me laugh so much. First pitch times this weekend, 7:10, 6:10, and 1:10. Kyle Hendricks and Brady Singer. Shota Imanaga and Seth Lugo, and Javier Assad and Cole Ragans. Bobby Witt Jr. is hitting literally .696, 16 for 23 in the second half for the Royals, who are 56-47 after going 56-102 in 2023. One of the best stories in baseball this season. The Royals will be heavy favorites in all 3 games this weekend. Sam, my plan is to watch Imanaga for as long as he throws on Saturday night. Otherwise, I think I'm going to be in and out on these weekend games the rest of the year.
Saturday's a big day for me.
Oh.
After a very long absence, I'm making my return to the hardwood.
Really?
And I'm going to be playing some pickup hoops at the gym.
Pickup? So it's not like an organized game?
No, I'm not ready for that yet.
Okay.
So I'll be doing that. No, I don't know. It depends. If I end up staying in tomorrow, then I'll throw the game on. But if I don't, I won't.
Olympics start this weekend. Thank gosh.
Are you into that? Are you going to watch a lot of Olympics?
That's my intent.
Okay.
Especially the Peacock app is going to be supposedly really good.
I have Peacock as well. My only concern is if I can't catch it during the day and I watch it at night, am I just watching a replay?
Well, if you watch it on NBC, the network, NBC, yes.
Got it.
You can watch live and on demand at your leisure on Peacock.
Okay, so let's talk about the Cubs and Royals.
That's Locked On Olympics.
Hey, listen, the Royals...
great story, the Royals, man.
Yeah, Singer's having a nice campaign. Lugo's been one of the great stories. Remember, we kind of wanted him in a Cub uniform.
Well, he was mentioned.
Cole Reagan's a really tough lefty. So the Cubs, Cubs offense that struggled mightily in the second half. It's the worst offense in the land in the second half. It's not going to be easy for them. And then also a majorly large Kansas City ballpark. If you're looking for the optimist side of things, Hendricks and Imanaga should be able to at least keep the ball in the park. It's a tough place to hit home runs. It's a big park. What would you say the over-under home runs on this weekend is for the Cubs? At 1.5? Would you take the over?
Yeah, 1.5.
Wow.
I'd take the under.
Wow. That's most
against these 3 pitchers with their lineup. It's easy. Cubs enter the weekend 49-55. last place in the NL Central, 5.5 games out of the third wild card spot.
You want to know what's so wild is they were just 3.5 out Monday night.
I know.
And they lost back-to-back games that they easily should have won because they don't ever score run.
Meanwhile, the Padres are humming.
But you know what's funny?
The Mets.
You know and when I say funny, that's not the right word. You know what's legit? Go look at the Padres, Mets, Diamondbacks rosters. They're better than the Cubs. They're better teams. The Padres are a better team than the Cubs.
Clearly.
The Mets aren't. Francisco Lindor is an MVP candidate. Mark Vientos is a blue chipper. We don't have a guy like that. He's a blue chip prospect. Francisco Alvarez is a stud.
Yes.
And Alonso's not even having that good of a year. They're a better team.
Okay, well, I'm trying not to go into a depression. So,
well, why? It's the appropriate time. You know, they're a better baseball team than the Cubs. Let me read you their lineup. The Mets. We make fun of the Mets.
Well, okay. I don't know why they have big names.
Let's
go. The Mets have 2 stars, Sam.
Let's go over the line. Lindor, 259, 338, 479. Elite defense is short. He's driven in. He has 21 home runs and 60 driven in. So basically 2 years of Dansby Swanson. Nimmo, 236, 352, 425. So Nimmo's 429. So Nimmo's basically Ian Happ. Okay. JD Martinez, 262, 344, 442. Solid. Polar Bear having a down year, 244, 324, 458. So far, all these guys solid. Vientos, 290, 345, 545. Cubs don't have anybody with that line.
No.
Nobody. McNeil stinks. Iglesias is having a decent year. Alvarez, young catcher, 278, 350, 443. They're flooded with great slash lines.
I know.
We have like 2 guys that have lines like that.
You can make a case the Padres lineup is even more imposing.
Oh, the Padres are way better than our ball club. Profar, 299, 387, 478. If we had 1 Cub with those numbers, they'd be getting a statue. Bogarts has started to hit when he's come back a little bit. Machado, Arias hurt. Cronenworth, I mean, they're way better. Jackson Merrill, 282, 316, 439. And don't forget, the Padres have Dylan Cease who threw a no-hitter today.
Well, I'm not forgetting. I'm not.
So.
All right, well, maybe one of those teams will want a Cubs reliever.
Yeah, great.
I guess we'll have to stay tuned for that. So.
Hey, before when we tease this next segment here, I'm going to ask you a question. Are we ever going to see Cade Horton this season? Let's go.
Do the Cubs win a game this weekend?
Yes.
Okay. Coming up next, that Cade Horton question and more. Today's episode is brought to you by Supply House. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trade, supplyhouse.com. The reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands to get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the biz and talk to the real person every time. You can also take advantage of their Trade Master program, where you get access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks. Go over to Supply House today by going to supplyhouse.com. A trio of prospects at AA Tennessee are heating up, especially to begin the second half of the season this past week. That's Matt Shaw, James Triantos, and Kevin Alcantara, Sam, as the Cubs will not be, you won't be hearing those names leading up to the deadline, as the Cubs are not buyers and not sure if you'd be hearing about them anyway. Seems like Jed wants to see these main guys through. Another guy he wants to see through is Cade Horton, who has not pitched since, I believe, late May, if memory serves, and the Cubs are bringing him along slowly. The last public update from him was, I believe, during the Orioles series.
Yeah.
And
I gave that.
He was at the facility in Sloan.
Boy, That's rough. That, by the way, those are small things that no one will talk about. That's rough. That's your top pitching prospect that you really didn't get to see much of at all this year, which means you're not going to see him to start the big league club next year.
Well, he hasn't pitched very many innings in his whole career.
Yeah, rough.
So, all right, Cubs Royals this weekend.
Canario got hurt, didn't he?
Yeah, he's could be out a while. Let's just put it that way.
Well, Shaw's been really good, like you said, since the break. So
6 for 13.
Why do you think? What's the, especially when the team could use some positive PR? Why isn't he in AAA yet?
Not sure.
Like, I know his numbers in AA aren't going to wow you, but he's been, after a slow start, he's been pretty good for quite a while.
They should bring him up. They should bring all three of those guys up in August
to AAA.
Yeah.
Yeah, give us something. I'd rather than I can watch a AAA team.
Yeah.
They're on Marquee tonight.
And depending on your MLB TV package, you could get AAA games. So
Owen Casey leading off, Darius Hill in the 2-hole, followed by Moises Ballesteros.
Cubs Royals this weekend. We'll be back Sunday night, Monday morning, depending on your listening habits. Episode will be fresh to your feeds. Recapping that series, the latest with trades and a whole lot more. And we're now entering this season, Sam, like we were in December and January, where if something breaks, we're going to try to be on the horn shortly thereafter. Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. You give us 20 to 30 minutes. We'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube, smash the like button for the algorithm, and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcast.
Laugh so you don't cry.
That's right. A lot of laughs this episode. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.